It's The Local Show on News Radio 570 WSYR, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now, your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in. This is hour number 2 of The Local Show. Get ready for engaging interviews with Jim Deacons. He's the owner of Crossroads Auction. Brian Jackson is the owner of the Press Room Pub. And then we'll talk with Neil Carr, Vice President of Prime Heating and Air. John Pratt stops by. We'll go diving. He's the managing director of Aquatic World. Have you ever gone diving, George?
I'm certified.
Get out of here.
I'm a certified scuba diver. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah,
so
great fun.
Did you take the PADI
I did
course?
At this place, too.
Oh, no kidding.
With my daughter. I'll have to tell you that story.
When he's on. Well, that's good. So we'll take a deep dive with George Powers. George is filling in for Steve Roberts, who is vacationing and probably causing havoc over in the Bahamas.
I'm sure he is.
We interrupt the local show to bring you Steve in the Bahamas. And now, back to the local show.
If you hear of any stories coming out of the Bahamas, it's probably because Steve did something.
Didn't they say that a hurricane was coming that way? Or maybe they mistake. It was Steve.
Right. Hurricane Steve. There you go. Well, right now it's our pleasure to talk with Jim Deacons. He's the owner of Crossroads Auctions. Crossroadsauction.net. Crossroadsauction.net is the website, and you can see a lot over there. How you doing there, Jim?
I'm doing well. Thanks, guys.
It's great to see you again. Give us your background and how long you've been in the business, and why did you get into Crossroads Auction?
Well, background is I've done auctions my entire life. Probably started taking them seriously when I was about 15 years old, when I realized this is, I guess, what I was going to do for a living. But my father was in the auction business, so since I was little, I was loading trucks and standing in front of a crowd, holding things up and calling out for bids, And then
Nice.
in my 30s, I took on my own business. Took on my own auction company, which was Crossroads Auction Company. We took that on in my 30s, and we've been doing that since. So over 20 years now, we've been in our location, and so we've been hollering at that microphone for a long time.
That's fantastic.
How long did it take you to learn how to do the auction calling?
Actually, it's kind of funny. People ask me that. Well, how do you do it? I just hearing it every day. Anytime you hear something every day. I grew up, we're an auction family, so everybody around me auctioneered. You're on the floor all the time. You hear that auctioneer, and then there's one day my dad looked at me and handed me the microphone and said, "Okay, it's your turn." And I probably stumbled and bumbled. I felt like a hero that day, but I probably stumbled and bumbled like anybody else would, and learned it quick. And it's anybody can really auctioneer. They really can. It's just saying numbers at the pace that you feel comfortable saying.
Right. You don't have to be like really fast.
No. I mean, you take your cattle auctioneers and all that. They're really fast car auctioneers. But you don't want to go too fast because you want the crowd to be able to understand you. It's fun to do that and watch their eyes get big. But reality is when you're trying to, achieve a great price out of an item, you don't want to go too fast. You want to be understandable so they understand and feel comfortable about raising their hand in the air.
I did go to a cattle auction years ago with my grandfather down in Texas. And I had no idea. They were running numbers and saying things, and there was cattle coming and going. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on here.
And I notice every once in a while when I do that, because I get bored auctioneering, so I'll start really rattling.
Yeah.
And I watch the crowd's eyes just get big because they have no clue what I'm saying. So you learn to slow down and say it at a pace and the clarity so they can understand, so they're not afraid to raise their hand.
Yeah. Do you have a location where folks come to do live
we're
auctions?
Located in Whiteby Central Square. We're on County Route 37 in Central Square, 988 County Route 37, Central Square, New York. Big red building. You can't miss us. Huge parking lot. That's our location. We've been there for over 20 years. We put on a lot of public auctions for many years, obviously. And then the past few years, because things have changed, we've gone more to the internet. We do a lot of internet sales now in multiple ways, through high bid, through Facebook, and through, we just recently done YouTube now. We sell everything YouTube. You can go home on a Tuesday or Thursday night, crank up your smart TV, put us on YouTube, bid right through the comments, and then come down to our location and pick it up, or we'll ship it right to your doorstep.
That's
I'll tell you,
cool.
It's popular stuff. You know, the and I have to laugh because I used to run the radio station out there in Oneida, okay, and that station had been around for a long time. And when I got there as the operations manager, they said to me, you know, one of the popular shows that we have is called oh, now I'm going to forget what the heck it is. The Trading Post.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, well, that's ridiculous. That's got to go. And they said, no, we can't let it go because the people would have a coup. The consumers just love to listen to this thing, you know, called The Trading Post because people, now it wasn't an auction thing, but, you know, people were, it was like a classified ads on the radio. And people just gravitated toward it. So I can see where the appeal is.
Well, they love the entertainment.
They love the entertainment because, and then, you know, you're looking and you say, wow, that's a gold encrusted spatula that has Elvis's picture on it. I want one of those. And, you know, and I'll pay $10 for that thing.
Well, I often tell everybody it's a reality show you get to be a part of.
Yeah.
Reality shows have become a big thing, but we just sit home and watch it on TV. This is a reality show that you actually get to be a part of. You hear your name when you call up. If you're the high bidder, I'll say,
that's pretty
Brian,
cool.
Bill, Frank's the highest bidder right now. And so people really find it extremely entertaining. And they get to stay in the comfort of their home and still have that competitive feeling on bidding and everything. So they really, it seems to be really, really popular.
Go ahead.
Sorry, can you give us an example of something that was most interesting thing that you auctioned, or a fun thing, or something that would people find
I've
interesting?
sold a lot of fun things.
You have.
I just recently on YouTube sold a hot air balloon.
Oh, yeah. You were talking about that.
The whole hot air balloon. Yep. The basket, they call the balloon part is actually called an envelope. That's what they call it. And it had the burner. They had the whole.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was pretty interesting.
Did you have to learn about that before you did it? Or?
You did. That's the first time I've ever sold a hot air balloon. And that's the fun thing about my business is that you get yourself educated quick, right?
Right, yeah.
And so whether I'm selling hot air balloons, vehicles, equipment, antique, lamps, glassware, whatever it may be, you have to educate yourself in that item before you sell it. So you get an opportunity to learn a lot about history and a lot about unique items.
That's kind of cool.
Yes.
Did my uncle ever get in touch with you? You never heard anybody say that
I've had a lot of
Tom's
uncles
uncles?
get in touch with me, so.
he had a bunch of cards. I think they were football cards, and
So just recently, correct?
Yeah.
I have a note on my desk from a gentleman that has a big sports collection.
Yeah, big sports.
Gary,
collection. Yeah.
Yes, he is. He's sitting on my desk. His number's sitting right there.
Okay, yeah, that's my
He's got
uncle.
a big sports card collection. It's probably something that we'll do after the first of the year.
Right.
We'll put that together. We just sold last night. We just actually on YouTube. We sold a bunch of baseball card, football card, early ones from the 80s, 70s.
Oh,
even.
wow.
Yeah, some of the neat ones we used
And
to
what
stick.
Those are the ones I would like to see. That was my time.
Right. What makes
cards.
them valuable? I never understood that in collecting because, it has to mean something to somebody.
It does. Value is based on desirability, right? I mean, that's just bottom line.
Right.
The more it's desired, the more value it's going to have.
Is that why I'm losing value with my wife?
Probably.
Yeah.
Desirability. Yeah.
She's
But
finding
that's-
other things more interesting.
Right. Antiques are a famous example of that.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s and 90s, everybody was fighting for whether it be an oak Hoosier, an oak highboy, Victorian furniture. They really wanted it, right? And so it brought a lot of money. Well, now that's starting to fall out of favor a little bit. We're not decorating that way. So now the desirability is not there, so now the value starts falling off.
So
And
weird.
what's happening a lot of times I see it, and other things too, is I know things from the 80s.
Yes.
Our generation, I know Tom and I talk, we're the same age, 58, but things from our generation were saying, oh, that's really cool. And they want to pick something up from what they remember their childhood, and that creates a want and a desire, and then you show your grandkids, and these things ebb and flow in value. So.
And then you get into, that's where the auction comes in, because when something has a value for one person and the other person has an equal desire for it, then it goes back and forth, and and it's who's going to give up
Competitive bidding.
first.
Yeah, competitive bidding is always the best way to sell stuff. when a husband and wife are sitting in a crowd and another husband and wife's on the other side of the room and she really wants it.
Oh.
And the other wife really wants it, value all of a sudden goes out the window because it's, you might have had a bad week with your wife and she's elbowing you to raise your hand again. You're like, I better own this thing. So all of a sudden, a $100 value item brings $300 because you just don't want to hear it all the way home.
Happy wife, happy life.
Absolutely.
So here's a guy with a lot of integrity and been in the business a long time. So if you want to sell anything and get the top value for it, it's Jim Deacons, owner of Crossroads Auction, crossroadsauction.net, crossroadsauction.net. See them today and talk with them. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being in.
You got it. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Brian Jackson. He's the owner of the Press Room Pub that recently, I think he owns that now. So we're going to talk to him, see what's cooking over there, right here on the local show on 570 WSYR.